I'm really happy we're back with the Trifecta Nutrition Talk after a week hiatus because of all this stuff that was going on. And we were just talking how crazy my life is at the moment. And there was a time that I couldn't remember the last time I really worked out. And I don't think I'm really working out. I would say what I'm doing right now is I'm just moving, and I'm moving every day. And you know what's really cool is I'm moving with intention and purpose instead of just moving. It's funny, like even when I'm demoing for one of my sessions and I'm showing them how I want an air squat to be done, and I'm talking about how when people are so tight and can't keep their chest up, how you feel your erectors. Like when people warm up for an air squat, they're just going through the motion. But when I warm up for an air squat, I can feel my erectors start to fire because of how aware I am of the actual movement. And, you know, I think this period in my life has made me a better coach, you
Mm-hmm.
know,
Oh, yeah.
it's made me a lot better coach because I'm actually paying more attention to movement than the actual exercise. It seems to be more about the process than it
Yeah.
is about the individual workout. And
Mm-hmm.
what was that, Jen?
I think I would say honestly, just doing the virtual and then coming back to the gym, how much better of a coach I feel like in the gym I am, because virtual you can't. It's all on your demo and what you say, because you can't visually really cue people. It's
Mm-hmm.
hard. So I think you took during that virtual world, you take, you know, so much more time in making sure your movements are on point and that your points of performance are driven home. So like the last couple of days just in class, like I felt 100% more comfortable
Oh yeah,
and like able to like talk and not feel like it was work. You know what I mean? Like
oh,
it just flowed.
oh for sure. Even I came in and watched your pause wall ball drill where we were trying to teach people to use their hips and try to teach energy transfer, right? From the core to the extremity. And it sounds like duh, why aren't we doing that? Because we don't say it enough. You know, and I think
Yeah,
yesterday, you know, a lot of light bulb moments happen during people's wall balls because just think about it. Who coaches wall balls? Who honestly
yeah,
coaches wall balls? We're
right.
coaching wall balls. Like we're
Yeah,
not just showing how to do a wall ball. We're breaking it down. You know,
yeah,
bring it down to its basic fundamentals. You know, as far
yeah,
as how far away should the wall should you be? Where should the pressure be in your hips in relation to your arms? Even the stuff where we're talking about bringing your hands down to top to create a rhythm and some type of relaxation. You know,
yeah.
um, it's really
Well, yeah, and then the translation to the thruster where people were like, "Oh, okay, like if I
oh
get good
yeah,
at well,
oh
likely my
definitely.
is gonna get a lot better."
You know what videos, Adrian, you know what videos I used to love when you used to do on your stories? When you used to
Yeah.
show your own movement and draw those lines where it could get better because you're
Oh yeah, yeah.
so focused on the movement. And I used to
Mm-hmm.
appreciate those because I'm like, wow, that's great because as a coach, we don't have to be excellent. We're not excellent movers. We're not.
Yeah.
We're not. We have athletes in here that are way better movers than me. Way better.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
You
Mm-hmm.
know, but the thing is, you know, and I think this has come with like age and maturity, which in the sum of it equals experience, and we become more critical of our own movements. You know,
Mm-hmm.
I
And the
taught,
simple things too.
yeah,
Just the simplest
what's
thing I'm hyper aware of now. I'm like, man, where should my like actually I was thinking a very similar thought today too, with like I was doing just a staggered like overhead kettlebell press hold, but I was doing actually a car with it, like a controlled articular rotation with my hip. And I noticed my back leg buckling the whole time. My knee, as my hip was going, I'm like, wow, that's it. So a lot of reasons why I do film myself because I'm like, man, I'm not even engaging my glutes. You know what I'm saying?
mm-hmm.
Do you hear that? Yeah. Yeah, that's like it's the same. Like that's something I've done 1,000 times, like an overhead press. I never put in the car, but I was like, I wonder what this would feel like. And then I'm like, wow, I just like lost my entire posterior kinetic chain, gone. And I'm like, that's a
Yeah.
pretty simple movement. That
And
like I
Yeah.
slightly challenged it, but I saw such loss of control with just one new variable. And I'm like, well, there's something I suck at. Awesome. I'm gonna get better
Yeah.
at that.
totally. And I think it makes you more aware as a movement coach. You're like, oh, I didn't know this was happening, but now that I know it's happening, I'm gonna watch out for it on other people.
Yes, exactly.
Well,
I love that wall ball.
it also helps explain the why. Why are we asking people, if we are letting people know that this is what we need to be doing, and us as coaches are not just sitting there spitting out fucking information, we too need to be doing these things. So it's not perfect, it's progress, it's awareness. That's how we teach the why to them. That's how it gets through, you know? If we're just telling them to do something and we're not, you know, and calling our own faults out, you know, it doesn't make it as real and true to like the reason why we need to be doing it and continuing to drill.
Yeah.
Yeah, that I was watching that wall ball drill on your stories, and I like the pulsing of it, like the catch and then the pulse in it, because you can actually see people like catching it with their core. And so many times
Yeah.
in CrossFit, when I see people accept force, it's just they're kind of bouncing in and out. So they're gonna
Yeah.
boom, 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 or they're actually like, okay, this is my core, this is my hips,
Yeah.
core. Like I could literally like, as a coach, I'm watching that, I'm like, that is so good because it's like, here's where I go for my thruster and my catch. Like
Yeah.
I was like, that's how I was like, I love that. I was watching that and I was like, that's awesome. Because
Yeah.
I've never seen that coach. I've been in, I don't know, probably the same similar amount as you've been in, Matt, for CrossFit boxes, both of you. As a nutrition coach, like going in with the gym, I watched a million classes. I never
Yeah.
scanned the wall where like, okay, just aim it here, push and go, you know. So some like basic cueing, but there's never
Yeah.
a translation of why am I doing this and does this movement, is this like a preparation? Is this like a pass or go movement to the thruster?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, the biggest thing that we see with a lot of the movements, and especially I would say with some of our stronger athletes and then taller athletes, is that they're not going from the midline, so they're not getting the power from their midline to their extremities. And a lot of some tall athletes have literally they're like hardly even using any kind of to get that ball up. So, but at the end of the day, you're still going to get your shoulders tired. You're still not being efficient. You know, you're going to get stuck at the 20 reps that you did 6 months ago because you're still not using your you know, the stable part of your body where all your power should be coming from. So that drill, huge on teaching that, and it transfers over. Yeah, 100%.
And I think it's really easy to explain points of performance in a movement, right? It is. It's very easy. But that's like, all right, so how do I get from A to Z here? There's all this stuff in the middle. Like we show A to Z, but like, how do we actually get there? You know,
Right.
we do such a better job at that. Not like we don't do it good on all movements, but when we specifically, especially our gym, when we teach the Olympic lifts, we are going position by position. And not only are we showing the movement and going points of performance, but we're even going positional stuff as far as where should your shoulders be in relation to the bar? Where should your knees be in relation to the bar? Why does it need to be this way? What are we trying to engage? Do you feel it here? Like, you know, and I think that has made, like, when I look at people in our gym, and although these are people that have maybe zero exercise experience or a ton of exercise experience, I'm like, wow, they move really well as a whole. They really, really do. And it's so hard in the group setting to coach like that. Like what I feel like we're doing is we're in a college strength and conditioning session daily. That's what we're in. We got this group of people with numerous capabilities and or limitations, and we're trying to make some sense of it, you know?
Yeah.
And it what made me realize that is when we started doing the really individual you know, nutrition coaching is like, wow, this is how specific we need to get with their exercise too. We really, really do.
Totally.
And the next level is really getting people to stop doing the stuff that doesn't feel good, right?
Yeah.
Stop doing the stuff that doesn't feel good. Like for example, today, and I've gotten so much better at this, and again, it probably comes with, you know, I had to learn the hard way, but double unders and running fry my back. if I don't stay totally engaged on a double under, which I don't because I get tired, I can start to feel my back start to go. And the same thing in running. If I'm not exact on my running, I try to run slightly more than 200 meters exhausted, it goes to shit. And then I'm like, well, I should stop doing that. If I'm looking for a cardio piece, I should just get my ass on the bike.
Yeah.
Really
Some
should.
cardio. Yeah.
You know, or even yesterday, what do we have? We had an 800-meter run in the beginning of a workout. And instead of an 800-meter run, I did a 200-meter farmer's carry. That's what I did. Because I get more benefit out of the farmer's carry for what I need than running 800 meters. Maybe it wasn't as much as a cardio stimulus, but did I exactly need a cardio stimulus? You know?
Yeah.
And you know, that goes further. I like how we started talking about coaching, and I think we're supposed to be talking about fasting today, but it's okay. It's all
relative.
It's all good talk, and it makes you realize that it's hard because we teach in a group setting, right? And we customize. We don't necessarily personalize, but we customize, and it should really be more personalized depending on their health foundation too. Some people, when I say they come in here, they're not that healthy. They may be out of whack as far as stress, right? Like I could speak for myself. My stress levels are sky high. You know what exacerbates it? High intensity exercise.
Yeah.
It makes it worse. Like, and I've realized that I just need to tone. Like I haven't done a really high intense exercise in probably a good 14 days. And I think a lot more people need to realize that. I've also lost some weight. I've also got more of my abs in. A lot of things that have happened when I started paying attention. And I still when I could jump into the group, I did on Saturday, and I did what I could, and I did what I thought was appropriate. And hopefully we could start, changing people's mindset as far as, exercise and what they actually should be doing and how they could still have the social group part of it and do something else and not feel like a failure.
Yeah.
Because that's the big thing. Then there is those times when I'm in here and the very few times that maybe all the coaches are in here and we get to work out together and we're totally killing ourselves. That's cool.
Yeah.
We'll do every once in a while, but for the most part, most people just need to chill.
I mean, I did a hipping pull up. I did Murph. That was it. That was what, the 22nd?
Yeah.
I've done strict every single time that I've hit the pull up bar, and it feels so good.
Same.
So much stronger.
So
my shoulders are not ready.
No, not yet. It's funny how it took this quarantine to realize how we're taking more care of ourselves. Remember when we first started CrossFit? We're like, I can't wait to learn how to kip. I don't care if I can only do 3 pull-ups. I cannot wait to learn how to kip.
I can't wait to die every day.
Then you learn how to butterfly, and you're like, damn, I'm never again.
I know. I haven't done that in so long. I'm okay though. I'm okay for now. But during this time, I experimented with so much, mostly because of these talks that we have. And we had a talk a while ago about intermittent fasting. And
that was our first.
That was our first talk, right? And I actually got a lot of listeners. That was one of our most popular ones. And
I've handed that link out so many times.
Yeah.
So many people have been like, hey, do you know anything about intermittent fasting? I'm like, actually, share. Just dumping it. It's a really informative podcast.
Mm-hmm. No.
They feel like, dude, I learned so much from that podcast. I'm like, that's great. That's good.
Yeah. I do the same thing when people have a question now. We have this library of stuff that we talk about. I'm like, hey, just let's.
Yeah, it's so great.
And if you have any questions, let's talk a little bit more. And when we were doing that, I was thinking we talked a little bit about 24-hour fast, but we were specifically talking about intermittent fasting. We weren't really talking about what I consider long duration fasting. And I think long duration, the minimum threshold for that for a long duration fast is like a 24-hour fast. Mm-hmm. And I know, Adrian, you were doing that once a week. Are you still doing that once a week?
Mm-hmm.
All right. I'm doing the same. And am I saying the word right? Autofactosis?
Yes.
Is that the right? And yeah, I've said I didn't look
up. Autophagy and autophytosis.
Yeah.
autophagy and the cell of a death. And then you're
So
you're
it's
good.
basically the regeneration of cells.
Correct. Yeah.
Basically regeneration of cells. So I liked that idea. I loved it. And I was
I
like,
love it.
let me start to see if I could do these 24-hour
So
fasts.
when did you start doing that?
Probably, well, tomorrow will be my 5th one.
Interesting. You've had body composition changes over the past month.
I've had a ton of body comp changes actually
Yeah.
over the last, and really, what I'm doing, and I love your ideas of just checking boxes, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I keep my week simple. Around my workout, I try to get some carbohydrates, and if I can't get them before, I definitely smash them after. Definitely smash it because I'm like, all right, I got to surround this workout window with carbohydrates, right? The rest of the time, I'm gonna stick to definitely trying to hit my protein. I'm gonna eat a lot of veggies, and I'm gonna fast 1 day a week. And let me just tell you a little about my experience. Then we could talk about the why and stuff like that. So kind of what I've been doing. So Wednesdays are my busiest days.
Mm-hmm.
Wednesdays. So what I did was I would stop eating Tuesday night around 8 o'clock because on Wednesdays I don't get home till about 8 o'clock. So it worked out perfectly for me. What I found is the first one was kind of rough, where I'm having some hunger control issues. And now I realize, well, that's when I was called a failure by Laura. Janice said I was cheating. You made me feel a little better, Adrian, that I didn't really do too much to spike my insulin. But I realized I was eating.
I was like, I didn't go all the way and say you're cheating, but then when you said that you added a couple other things, then I was like,
No. Look,
I was cool with the PCAs, I was cool with the greens, but then you had other stuff, and I was like, you ate the vegetables, you ate the.
I did. So I'm gonna tell you that the first one was like, let me see what I can do here, and I had some hunger issues.
Just playing around. Mm-hmm.
Then I realized the second time I did it, I had zero hunger issues. I think I played around with some bone broth midday, and I'd even finish it. And I was just well hydrated. I was busy, and what it allowed for me, what I realized how much I like fasting. Because this morning, trying to get out of the house with 3 kids, feed myself and them before we exited, was a nightmare. Total nightmare. So it relieved that responsibility to actually eat food and think about it, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I would fast, up until when the time I was supposed to, and then I wouldn't really go crazy. I would have like a lighter meal into a heavier second feeding and sometimes a snack by the time I went to bed. And I have the odd skill of being able to eat a lot at one time. Like I can really pack it in, so I can get a good 2,000 calories in an hour and a half, 2 hours, like pretty easily with some pretty quality food. And my sleep has been better. My body composition has been better. See, my ability to handle hunger has improved greatly. And just a day for me to stop worrying about stuff and really focus on stuff that I have to do. And I didn't really use that much caffeine either. I'm usually someone that I drank 1 cup of black coffee in the morning. I think when we first started this podcast, I was doing some energy drinks. I was doing coffee. Like I was totally out of whack. I'm down to like 1 cup of coffee a day.
Wow.
And I think this style has worked well for me, better than intermittent fasting was for me. And I always like to, be my own guinea pig and kind of try it. And I felt fantastic on it. Really, really good. Now, here's the thing. I don't exactly know. Like I know I'm someone that eats an adequate number of calories on my other days. And I haven't really suggested a 24-hour fast to any of my nutrition clients yet at all. And do you when do you think, do you suggest it a lot, or is it I know it probably depends, And when do you think is the right scenario where they can do a 24-hour fast? Is it something you see like in them that you're like, okay, they would benefit off of 1 day a week or something like that?
Yeah, a couple different scenarios. One, they've got to be at least like 8 to 10 weeks in the program where they have all their macros out, and then I use it as part health, part tactic. So health is just, again, for mental health, just not tracking, not thinking about food. Like there's a lot of energy surrounded about around food, like just physically, like making it, cooking it, bringing it with
Mm-hmm.
you, getting your calories in. Like, did I calculate my macros? You just get to like save all that energy and put it somewhere else. So I think that's a good break for someone who's been tracking for a while. When I bring up, hey, we don't have to track for a day. Here's like, some stuff you can have for the 24-hour fast. My clients love it. They love it because they also see it as also sometimes the tactic that they can use if they'd have a super refeed of a weekend where they know there's going to be zero issues because they can use it as a kind of like a gut relaxer on Monday. I mean, when they're taking in that many carbs, I mean, you see, like, when I get like a little bit of a distension up at the top because my body's like, we just can't do this anymore, you
Mm-hmm.
know? But for most of my clients, if mentally I give them an option, I'm like, okay, here's where we're at now. For you to move to the next level, here's 4 different tactics. And one of them is always fasting. Sometimes it's like all of these things, keto, carb cycling, calorie cycling, they're all tactics. And a lot of them are very attracted to fasting because they don't have to learn anything. You've already been doing it. It's wonderful too to just have a day where you can, I mean, if your basal metabolic rate, I don't know what it is, but it's probably high. You're probably losing a pound of fat in that. I mean, not a pound of fat, you know what I'm saying,
Yeah.
versus kilocalories. I've seen that. So, I mean, I have about 4 clients right now that are doing the 24-hour fast, and they love it. And they also, some of them who unfortunately love to weigh themselves, it's an instant gratification. Like they'll
Yeah.
go down 2 pounds. I always tell them, a couple days later when you reweigh, if you've lost 2, you might only regain 1 though. But
Yeah.
that's still a net 1 from doing kind of nothing.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? So those are all the different situations I've used it. Personally, I like it because again, like you said, like getting out the door, like, I mean, we're back kind of like pseudo into real life,
Mm-hmm.
kind of. And when we get back in that full swing of being super busy and doing all these things, just not having the food as a part of it's like super awesome.
Mm-hmm. Now, what things are allowed? So I'm only doing liquids. I'm doing black coffee. I'm doing greens and BCAAs. And if I need the bone broth, I'm doing the bone broth. Is that pretty much the summary of kind of what's allowed? I mean, what do you think of like Coke Zero or even diet sodas? Are you allowing that or not allowing that?
I mean, I try to keep it as like a gut. Like I try to tell my clients it's a spa day for your gut. So like if you went to the spa, you'd probably be drinking herbal teas,
Mm-hmm.
right? Like I allow coffee and caffeine, all that stuff. I just don't want them like hyper loading it with sugar. It's gonna be probably monk fruit or stevia. Some cream is okay. Again, full fat cream won't really bump insulin. I keep it to basic caloric free liquids. But if they like need that to get through the day, sure. But again, I always, it's non-calorie liquids if they get really hungry, like those hunger pangs are killing, then it's bone broth or miso soup. And if it's like absolutely like, they need a munchie, I do like cucumbers and celery because again, that's like the levels of it. But
Yeah.
still, even if they did all of that and there's someone that's coming from a not so healthy background, that's still a great day,
Mm-hmm.
and they can kind of choose that. And what happens is they kind of start there. And what's interesting is like four or five fasts in, the cucumbers and the celery drop, the soda goes. They end up just kind of, your body will just kind of go towards that clean route anyway. Like you said, the first time you do, you kind of just need stuff.
Yeah.
And then as you go through it more and more, you kind of don't.
Yeah. It's weird, Adrian. I
It's
kind of
strange.
look forward to it. I look forward to
Too.
it now.
Every week.
I look
Yeah.
forward to it. Like I know, like I'll have a slightly bigger meal tonight, which I look forward to. And tomorrow I'll get a shit ton of work done. Guaranteed. Janice will get 100 texts from me about flyers that we need. Yeah, guaranteed.
Uh, Dude, I have it on my schedule for Thursday.
Yo, it's all good. I promise I won't text you at all tomorrow. But if you do, you'll know why. It's
Yeah.
tomorrow's my
Fantastic.
tomorrow's my
He's
super productive day. All right, and I'll get some stuff done and get my trend of thought. I mean, I am really falling in love with the not so much. I mean, I love the body composition things that happening because of it, but
Mhm.
I definitely love it from a health perspective, and
Mhm.
I think it's taken me a couple weeks to get my own nutrition back on track, and I
Yep.
felt like I was at a good place calorically. I felt like I had systems in place. I was checking boxes. My hydration was on point. And I was like, okay, now I think I'm ready to try this, because like you said, there's prerequisites to this thing, because there's tons of free information on the internet. Like there's tons of free information on how good fasting is for you, and people just start fasting and nothing happens besides they're hungry. They may get excessive even cortisol release because they can't deal with the stressors of actually being hungry, But it's I'm definitely sold, and it definitely has its place. I don't see a reason for me to stop doing it.
Yeah.
Have you just been you go off and on, right? But you've been doing it long term. You've been doing it for a while.
Probably like since Brad Pilon wrote that book, Eat Fast or Stop. Was it Stop Eat Stop Eat? It was Eat
Uh-huh.
Stop Eat. Yeah, I mean, I did a really big article write up on it. I've been doing it probably for like 10 years. I've always liked the 24-hour fast. I tried 16/8, but it just wasn't my thing. I really like that day to just clean my. And again, like I'll do it for a couple months, and then mostly during the summer, because I like it because it's the easiest thing for me to do for like body comp, you
Yeah.
know. And then come like, cause, and especially right now, like I don't have, my knees still like a little wonky, so I don't have a lot of cardio options. So like I have to be dialed in, right, pretty dialed into my nutrition, right? But I kind of do it seasonally, but always during the summer too. And you know what's strange is I'll start doing it in like April, and my sinuses just clear. Like my sinuses are terrible.
Wow.
So
You
the
know what? You just said that, and I just realized I have the worst sinuses where every morning tissues upon tissues. I don't remember the last time that I had to blow my nose in the morning and just tons of
isn't that
of mucus. That's crazy that you said that. I didn't even notice that.
yeah, that it just like I start doing it early April, and I mean I only have like a half a septum on my
Hmm.
left side, or no, this side, my right side, because I got when I was doing MMA, I got punched really bad, and it kind of and from rugby too. I mean my nose is just you can hear it if you go to my YouTube videos 5 years ago when it happened, my voice has like literally dropped because I just sound like I'm kind of like nasally all the time.
Yeah.
But yeah, man, when I start fasting, it just like clears it. I don't. Again, like, is there a correlation? It has to be because I do it every year, and like my sinuses are terrible leading, and especially this year it was rough.
Yeah.
April, I mean, I don't know if the pollen was a little extra terrible this year, but I had to wear like double breathe strips at night just to like breathe. And that's almost where I'm a little bit during the day too, just to like keep my sinuses open.
Hmm.
Um, but man, I mean, it just, I don't know what it is, but I've no, I mean, I haven't had to blow my nose. I've been stuffy in the head, usually because I get it like up here because then it drains down. But
Hmm.
yeah, I didn't have any of that. And I actually started to notice that this year. I was like, my sinuses are usually terrible.
Hmm.
And I was very consistent with it this year. And it just like, I don't know. It's weird.
Now, do you do any activity? I just do my activities of daily living, which for some might seem a lot on the days that I fast. But I'm not really doing any activity. There was one day that I tried before I ate. I wanted to toy around with the sensitivity of afterwards of accepting carbohydrates after doing a glycogen depleting workout, and I did
Yeah.
that one day. I felt terrible during the workout. I felt great when I ate, but since then, I haven't really done any activity on those days besides the hours that I coach and being on my feet and walking around. I really don't do much else. Do you?
I will do either one or two things. I'll go for a really long walk with like a 10-pound vest, like very slow. Like if I was on a treadmill, it'd be like maybe like a 2.8. It's distance. I'll do like a mile, or not a mile. I'm sorry. I'll be walking for an hour and I'll go up hills and down. I mean, I'm pretty soaked, but it's very very low. It's just like my heart rate. I really try not to get it above like 140. I try to stay at like level 1, level 2, and or I'll do 40 minutes of very low intensity yoga. That's about it. But I'm still moving around. I like to do that. I really love those walks, those weighted walks. I don't know
Mm-hmm.
how you guys do Murph in like a 20-pound vest. It's like insane. When I see that, I feel like it's such an epic turd. But it's very low systemic, low impact, and I feel great. And then I'll go take a cold shower, and it's like the best. Like I do all of that try in one day. It's like a very big like cleansing, low systemic. I feel like I'm like literally doing like the PHS, like my peripheral heart system is just like clearing itself out.
Yeah.
So
So
Yeah.
I have a question. So what type of client would not be, you know, and that you would advocate if they said they wanted to fast?
anyone with a previous eating disorder. So if
Mhm.
I had
Right.
someone who was bulimic and or anorexic, and I'm very aware of the difference between that, or someone that has a, if I have to pick the narrative of a self-sabotaging behavior, which is me binge, even if they
Yeah.
claim that they don't have this, where they're like, I do pizza, I drink, I don't care if you drink whatever, but then hungover and then continue that, but then beat themselves up in the gym and
Yeah.
restrict food. That is someone I'm not gonna, unless I've changed that narrative in their head. Um,
Right.
but if that's not, then I'm not putting in fasting because it's just too triggering. It's too restricted. It'll be tough to shift the mind to look at it like Matt and I are looking at it as a
Yeah.
repair, a gut, a relaxation from counting, all those things where they're trying to just reestablish a relationship healthy with food. So
Right.
yeah, the people, and someone that has if they have any sort of health concerns, like and that hasn't been cleaned up yet.
Yeah.
If they're an all or nothing type of personality person, I worry about that because they'll want to fast. Because I've had people like, can I do 2 days in a row? And I'm like, no.
Yeah.
Like that's like you could. I actually just listened to a podcast this morning where a guy who's on Joe Rogan. I can pull the source too.
I
He
love Joe Rogan.
lived off of his
I
own.
listen to this.
He was like very very overweight. He lost 280 pounds in a year.
Wow.
But do you want to know how he did it?
Wow.
No food for 365 days.
What?
So he did an IV drip of minerals and just did water. Because what they were doing, the guy that won this show called Alone, which is it's a survival show out in Alaska, and we were talking about how like a lot of the people are trying to put on weight before the show because they know
Right.
they would lose a lot of weight. So the one guy was like, he's like, yeah, I was hoping I could have a decent fat reserve, and it's true you can live off your own fat. What happened was this guy was getting enough vitamins and minerals that his body just ate his fat away, and he ended up being I think like 165 pounds at the end of it
Wow.
with
Unbelievable.
no stretch marks.
Wow. That's
That is what caught
unbelievable.
me. Yeah, that's I'm like, oh wait, what? Like that I've heard a lot of stuff in a year, but I was like, wait, no stretch marks? That's bizarre.
Yeah. That's unreal.
But also
What
goes to
does
show
that
you that
what does that do to your digestive tract? Like not chewing food, not swallowing, like
I don't know. He was getting a cocktail. So he was getting vitamins and minerals. He could have had digestive enzymes that were being put in there too. Because that
right.
was something I was thinking. I'm like, well, like all the amylase you produce. I mean, those are like really important for your like entire digestive system. Bless you. I'll look further
Excuse me.
into it. But I know that to be true because a lot of water fasting in China they do for at least 30 days. At least. That's like their baseline. And they've cured a lot of autoimmune diseases. They've reversed cancer. People have dropped tons of weight. So people have done water fasts for 30 days or more.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
Wow.
couldn't imagine doing that. I mean, my one buddy does a 3-day water fast every week.
Wow.
And he's very healthy. He's a strength and conditioning coach. Yeah, I was like, I personally have a tough time going past 24 hours.
Mhm.
24 is my limit. I do 5 p.m. to 5 p.m. I'll eat a huge massive dinner at 5. And then 5 is like not 8 o'clock. I used to do like 8 o'clock, and 8's just so long. Like once you get through the morning, 5 o'clock just kind of creeps.
Oh yeah.
You know what
Oh,
I'm saying?
definitely.
So, yeah, I found that to be like, I was like floored. I was like, dude, you said about 280 pounds, 50 pounds. I mean, point, that's a half a pound a day, I'd say.
Oh
Something
yeah.
like that.
That's crazy.
Crazy.
But going back to Janice, the question you asked about who you wouldn't give it to, you know, in so the only thing I've ever recommended for my clients is intermittent on certain days, and here's why. I will not recommend fasting until I get someone to the mindset that they can eat in a caloric surplus, that they're
Yeah.
allowed to eat in a caloric surplus, and it's not damaging to their weight loss goals.
Hmm.
Because I don't want to feed the restrictive behavior because I'm going to say as strong as 95% of the people that we deal with are always calorie restricted. They've been calorie
Under
restricted
eating.
from the
Under
very
eating.
beginning. So until I can get them, and this is probably 6 to 7 weeks after I've been working with them, up
Yeah.
to a level that I think is adequate to support lean body mass and aid in some fat loss, I won't suggest it to them until I can get them to actually, I want to hear them say, when I tell them to eat a little bit more, that they're willing to do it. Because I get a lot of apprehension from especially women. I'm like, all right, we're going to bump you up another 150 calories or another 200 calories. They're like, and they always say, do you think I should be doing that? And then I always have to ask them. So I've been giving you more calories than you've ever eaten before, and you've lost 8 pounds.
Uh-huh.
What does that tell you? You know, and until they can wrap their head around it, I don't employ intermittent fasting, or I don't think I would ever employ a 24-hour fast until I could change their mindset around food and get them out of that restrictive mindset, because it could be more damaging. I mean, we as nutrition coaches have a responsibility here. We can create an eating disorder that wasn't there before, or a disorder.
Absolutely.
I don't want to say eating disorder. Let's say disordered eating. Okay,
Yeah,
Hmm.
and I
100%.
yeah, and we have to be sensitive to that because we can create that. And I don't think that, let me say this, like, I think that some of the ways we may have coached years ago may have created some disordered eating, and now, you learn by your mistakes, you become more sensitive to it, because, sometimes when a person's like, we got to think, like, I think the three of us can agree that our main focus now is people's health.
Yeah.
And it's almost like weight loss and fat loss is a side effect that comes with it.
That's what I've always said. It's a byproduct.
It is.
It's a byproduct of really good food. Like there's biomarkers in place for a reason. When you check them off, it's very hard to not be in the body that you would want if your health is truly where it should be.
Mm-hmm.
Like, can you be very big and healthy according to numbers? Yes, but I don't think that really takes incapacity your ability to walk up a hill and keep your heart rate low. Because yeah, you could have cholesterol at this, and a lot of people be like, "Well, look at my numbers," but I'm like, "But you can't do like daily living activity without."
You gotta love when
My
the internet
opinion,
break up.
the well, not I don't worry about stroke, but it's still just be at your. Did you hear me break up?
Just a little bit. I think
You
you're
good?
back on now. Yeah, you're good.
Yeah, yeah. My internet connection is unstable.
Well, in Ohio, they just literally got internet last week, so I
Dude,
understand. Are you
I
still in
am. This is
Ohio?
actually streamed off. This is actually streamed off my phone. I usually am on my phone.
Oh
This is
wow.
streamed off my phone. Yeah, because it's I can't. It'll just. Janice knows. We were talking yesterday. My phone.
We're like,
Zoom was awful. Yeah, yeah. It was pretty bad. I'm not gonna lie. Now I completely lost my train of thought. I don't know where I was in time and space. You gotta remind me. What
Well,
were we just talking about? Just 2 seconds ago. My internet went slow.
And now I'm just waiting for the lag to slow down a little bit or
Yeah,
speed
that's all
back
right.
up so I can hear
We're back up.
where we're at
That's
here.
all good.
You were talking about people's health. Their blood markers are good, but they
Oh yeah, yeah.
cannot do
But
activity of daily living.
yeah, but you got to be able to live at capacity. Like that's been my big thing. Like there's a capacity that you're just not living at. Like you're not able to do specific things. You're not able to sit in the seats that you want. Like when you fly, like all of these things should be accessible to somebody, you know. And it just it does. There's like a very fine point between like someone being in their body and then being at capacity. And if they're truly healthy and embody all of that, and that's wonderful, but it seems to be like a replaying theme where people are like, I'm at this size, I'm very happy, you know, and I'm healthy. And in that regard, those people are very, I mean, I've been in this space a very long time. It's very few and far between, right? Because I've seen people that appear to be very healthy, and you look at their blood work, and it's like, oh my, you're gonna literally die.
Mm-hmm.
Like your blood pressure is up here, you know, certain hormone levels could be down here. So, you know, but overall, our job is to really just get them healthy, like in daily living, moving around, and just being able to do all the things and just not be tired. I just hate that's one of the saddest things when I get on the phone with someone and they're just like, I'm so tired of being tired.
Yeah.
And that's what, like, that's what I'm just like, okay, let's get to work, you know?
Yeah. Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
I think I definitely know that, and I know that this exactly kind of chiming in on what you're saying, Adrian, is I know that Matt and I, over the course of the last, you know, 7 weeks, have really looked at the importance of we need to move the needle, and moving the needle is a needle on health. And, you know, weight loss can be your number one goal, but if your body's not in a position to be able to do that, you know, you can follow every step that I tell you. You can do this. At the end of the day, if it's not moving the needle, the health marker needle, in the right direction, then it's a failure on my part. But it's a tough thing, I think, you know, trying to kind of sell that and say like the reason why, you know. I think that we've gotten a lot better at it. I know with my clients, and in our intake, we've gotten a little bit more specific too about supplements, vitamins that people take, their blood work when they've gotten it done, you know, where their levels are at. Oh, you're pre-diabetic, and like having a little bit of protocols and conversations with, hey, this is what you're currently taking. This would be my recommendation. When you're complete that battle, it's not prescribed by a doctor. You're just taking a vitamin because you read it that it's good for that, you know, metabolic support. Let's now talk about this is something that I would recommend. And the reason being is that it hits, you know, it's not just taking care of one thing, we're taking care of multiple things, and driving in that, and then each kind of check-in, re-establishing the fact that yes, we understand weight loss or body recomp is the goal. However, you know, are you taking your supplements in the morning? Are you hydrating properly? Are you charging your body? Like all of these things, you know, they need to happen before we really start talking. And we, you know, it used to be before I would look at calories, look at your BMR. Okay, we're going to drop them down here. You're going to stick to this number. This is what I want you to do in a day. You have the whole day to do it. And also with that, what I'm realizing is one of the biggest things that we're seeing from people is that if we tell them what they have to hit in a day, it's very similar to 21-day fixes, Weight Watchers, where you have all the little cups. And the way people start looking at that is they're like, okay, by the end of the day, I need to hit these things. Well, that's not teaching them around your workout window. It's not teaching you to have nutrients flowing through your body throughout the day and all those type of things. And I know we're off of the this is not anything to do with fasting, but my point is that there's so many things in there, and you get a lot of people that just want to jump the gun, like, oh well, what do I do on my weekend? Well, let's take care of the days here. Let's have you manage every day, and you have to, you know that your weekends, you're gonna have to pull back a little bit on some of the things that those other habits. I'm not just gonna teach you how you can manage your weekend without teaching you how you manage every day. You know.
Yeah,
and the lessons.
It's almost like what you just said. So like fasting, in my opinion, would be like teaching someone how to do a specific lift from a block level. So people are coming into CrossFit and they can't even organize their spines, let alone hold a bar correctly in a hinge from the beginning of the position. But they're coming like, yo, I want to clean off the blocks. Like, what? We've even set up your structure. You know what I'm saying? Like people want to go right to that, like you were saying, Jess, they want to go right to here.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
I think it's either maturity or age where I'm willing to work all the way down here so I can get here without compromising my body. So I think with us and nutrition coaches is like, we want to, like you were just saying, I want to get you here, but in the healthiest way possible.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? By like really restructuring that foundation that if you slip, we're good because that shit's made out of cement. You know, so you'll just have a little wiggle, but not like a big one. But it's almost like that's what people want when they come into CrossFit. I just want to do this. And it's like, dude, you can't even stand without your feet collapsing.
Oh, yeah.
So like we're not lifting off of the blocks at some set pace or like, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I feel like nutrition's the same thing. People just want to do these crazy high-end insane cycles. Like you don't even sleep. Like it's always coming back to the basics.
Yeah, it's so funny you mentioned sleep. I have a new client I'm working with. She's I think she's like 23 or 24. And anyway, I get her intake form. I get her stress assessment. She sleeps an average of 4 hours a night, and she has at least 10 to 12 drinks a week, right? And she was surprised when I said, you know what we're gonna do for the first week? You need to track your sleep, your hydration, your booze for me, because we need to get those 3 things under control before we start the rest of the stuff. You know, so sometimes depending on where someone's at, and this is talking about advanced techniques versus basic health and stuff, people just aren't healthy enough to make nutrition tactics stick.
Yeah.
They're not yet. Because, I mean, if you can have all the great nutrition in the world, unless you're a genetic freak, if you're not sleeping, it's not really going to work that well.
Doesn't matter. Literally doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter. And then going on to the Olympic lift analogy, so we have a barbell only class here where we focus on just the Olympic lifts. We do some bodybuilding, and we were I was coaching it last week, and this wasn't in the plan, but I had decided to put it in the plan because people have an issue getting really tall in the Olympic lifts. And what I mean by that is they have a hard time reaching true triple extension. So what I did to emphasize triple extension is I had them do some snatches, right? And within a 3-minute window, they were to do one single snatch. And then I had them get a low barrier or a box and try to jump on it with straight legs. Like go into your hinge and jump on it, but land with straight legs. So that means they couldn't tuck their legs up to get on the box because I wanted them to know what it felt like to put as much energy into the ground and use your hips. Because in an Olympic lift, you don't tuck your legs. They stay flat and they only come up enough to slip a credit card underneath of them. I was trying to teach this triple extension, and you should have saw the people that were pretty good at Olympic weightlifting could nail it. They could jump, get the triple extension, land on the box. They can get up 12, 18, 24 inches with straight legs. Of course, absorbing their force at the end. But it was funny how many people had this light bulb moment. It's like, wow, I'm trying to snatch and clean pretty heavy, and I can't even express violent hip extension with my own body weight. You know, and it's kind of like this eye-opening thing. And it's like, oh, we skipped. And again, hey, that's my fault. I'll take that. We skipped that. We skipped it. You know what I mean? But I'm bringing it in now. But it's the same thing with nutrition. Like there's so much basic stuff we have to get done first before we could do all the sexy stuff. You know? And
I so agree with all that.
Yeah, people need to be patient and realize that, you know, it's almost scary that we not that we know so much, but we have experience with this and we know how to help people, and they know we know how to help them, and they want all the juice. They want the juice before we give them the basic stuff. They're like, really? I got to track my water, my sleep, and I got to cut my 10 alcoholic drinks a week to 6? That's what I have to do. Week 1. Yes. That's what you're doing week 1. And then we'll talk about your calories. and then we'll talk about one macro. And it's such a slow process, but you know, the process for me has worked because I've gotten people that were so against counting macros in 8 weeks' time to be loving and experts at macros. You know, and they never wanted to get there, and I was never going to push them there if they weren't ready, because I want to give them the best tactic and best fit for them. You know, and it's crazy how it works, and sometimes it's frustrating. And you know, I know even you working with Janice and my wife Laura, it starts at such a basic level, and it's funny because they can appreciate it. They appreciate the basic level. They understand it. They know the why, but sometimes it's hard.
It's so hard for some people.
Wait for the good stuff because it has to be done. Has to be done. You know.
But most people that fall into my lap also know that about me. They're like, I'm ready to just like get it right, like for once. You know, they're just kind of like, or just a different perspective or whatever. But you know, I kind of filter that out through my message. Where like, people know that that's not what I do. Like, I'm not going to give you sexy at all. Like, it's discipline and habits and guidance and education. And then, sure, we get to that shit. I love that crap. I'm a biohacker by nature. I'm always trying to fast cut anything in some ways, but I also know the structure to get there. But I don't want to harm anybody either by giving them the juice.
Yeah.
You know, when they don't have the foundation, that's a scary thing to do. I mean, if you're a coach that cares about your client and you respect them, you respect the process, I wouldn't feel right doing that. Some people don't give a shit, but like everybody, all of us do. I think that's why, you know, we have these conversations too, because it can open your eyes up and be like, oh, that's a different way of thinking about it. I didn't know that, you know, or like the different ways, you know, who's this for, who's it not for, benefits, outcomes. It's always good to get like different perspectives on that. But yeah, everybody wants to, and that's just kind of, I think, like a cultural thing. But I also think there's been a very big shift where people are like, we've tried all of this and it hasn't worked. So I might be okay with like just really learning this shit for once.
Oh yeah, and having a one-time deal. And that's what I'm telling everyone. I'm even talking to one I talk to one of Janice's clients almost daily because I also coach her, and not nutritionally, but I coach her as far as sessions. And you know, I tell her, I was like, listen, you've tried everything else. Trust that this is the one time you're going to get it right. We're going to start slow. We're going to start from the beginning. We're going to cover all our bases, and this is going to be the time that you get it right. You know, and we're going to guide you through this process, and it's a slow process. You know.
Yeah. What I was going to say, we know that this is the way to go because we are working with clients that have previously been clients, right? So when that's the case, we didn't, as much as our clients that we are working with now are educated when it comes to macros and how to track. They're not educated into the why, and they're not educated when they fall off of that, where do they go? So I think the biggest message that I'm pushing out is I'm giving them the program. Adrian, just like you're giving me the program. I'm giving you the tools. That information is yours to have. So you go away on a vacation and you're not working with me, and then you come back and you slack off for a couple of weeks, you put some weight on, you feel like crap. Where are you going to start? You know now where to start. Yeah. You know the basic things that you can look at, and then you know how to kind of retrain yourself to get back in those habits. Where if you're just tracking macros and you're following calories and you don't have any of the education behind it, in your mind, the only way that you can get to a point is by tracking macros. And if you're not in the mindset to do that, you're never going to commit to do it.
Yeah, totally.
You're gonna do it for 3 days. You're going to fall off. You're going to do it for 3 days. You're going to fall off. And then by week 3, you're going to say, F this, I'm not doing it anymore. Like, it's too much. And then you're going to get frustrated when you get back on the scale and your pants don't fit you. But you're still back at square one.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It's a vicious cycle of people.
And the funny thing is that whether no matter how you're tracking, it does come down to the macronutrients, right? And with the same person that Matt is referring to, she's the first client that I have that is uncomfortable with the scale, is uncomfortable with tracking, is uncomfortable with basically knowing any of that information. Now we do talk about protein, talk about carbohydrates, but she's the first client that I've ever worked with where it's handheld for everything. We're hand portioning measures for everything. And I tell her I need a 1.5, palms of this. Around your workout window, I need, 2 cupfuls of this. Give me 5 to 6 cupfuls of fistfuls of vegetables a day. And that's where we're at. And it's really eye-opening for me as a coach as well, because we're getting 120 to 140 grams of protein in her in a day. And
it's a lot for anybody.
Yeah, exactly. Meanwhile, it's not a scale or a measuring cup. You know what I mean? So, and I told her, we're not exact, but we don't need to be. You're being mindful.
You don't need to be. Unless you're dialing into honestly, I think if you just did the hand method, and I mean, I'm just saying this, and a day of fasting, I don't think you'd ever have to really do much.
Right.
It's just I think it's liberating to teach people too on your end. I think that's great because you're liberating her mind that there's another way.
Yes.
There's another way out there. It doesn't have to be all numbers.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And that's liberating for some people because they're like, oh, you've just shifted. Here was their tripod where the camera was, and you just went over there.
Yeah.
And they're like, oh my God, there's a whole different vision over here.
And the big win from this client specifically is that she's hungry again. And she's like, well, I'm actually hungry. And I said, well, do you realize that's what we want? We need to be hungry, because before she wasn't hungry. She was
just getting woken up.
Yeah. So I'm like,
great.
Dude, we're going to bring you in for another in-body, and I'm hoping we see some changes, composition changes and loss. But the fact that you're telling me that you're hungry at 4:00 in the afternoon when before you didn't eat from 2 until 9. That's a win. That is, we're moving in the right direction. So
yeah, I told her yesterday, I had her in virtual, and I told her yesterday, I'm like, the way you're moving through the workouts, everyone looks like they're dying, right? But she looks like she has this new vigor for working out while she and I was like, honestly, tell me, do you feel better? She's like, I feel 100% better.
Oh, you got 140 grams of protein. You can crush. People. It's crazy. If you just start eating the right amount of protein, I mean, you can look like you're on juice.
Yeah.
Honestly, in my opinion, women, when they eat the right amount of protein, I always put up my before and afters. Everyone's like, Jesus, it looks like everyone you train I don't train them. They're jacked. I'm like, that's because they're just eating protein.
Yeah.
They're actually filling out the glycogen. They're actually getting. So that means if you get that amount, you can then have the energy in your workout to crush it.
Yeah.
So that's huge. She's probably making big physiological changes, big time.
Oh yeah.
I mean, metabolic change and movements changing. That's huge.
She's awesome. I'm really excited. She's not even my client. It's one of the most people I have a vested interest in seeing succeed. I can't wait for her to go through the whole process because I'm the most excited for her. I really am. It's awesome. I can't wait. I can't wait.
Yeah.
But all right. Well, listen. We talked a little bit about fasting, but we had a great other conversation, which is always good.
This could be like a fasting / coaching call.
Yeah, it was a fasting / coaching call, but it was good. It was good, and people need to hear it, and people need to listen and stuff.
Lots of trends. There was a lot of trends in nutrition coaching going on here.
There was. I'm gonna slash the title. 24-hour fasting / trends in nutrition coaching. And, and see what happens there. But all right, guys. Well, thank you for both your time.
Yeah, great call.
Yeah. Sorry I messed up today.
Sign off.
But all right, I'll see you guys.